Hello, it's just a test to check, as always, if everything looks fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello everyone, dear customers, colleagues, please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen, if everything fine, and we will begin our today webinar. Hi Jay, yes, you're right, this email has been built by Action Rocket, and we will discuss it a bit today. Okay, thank you for the feedback. As far as I understand, everything is all right. So let's get started. First of all, let me introduce myself. As always, my name is Alexander. I'm Stripo support manager. Our today webinar about emails that has been created outside of Stripo. We have chosen this email template. I used this article from Litmus blog. I will attach this article to this chat. Please take a look. Take a look if you're interested. And I chose this email template that has been created by Action Rocket. So I found this email template kind of simple, but kind of interesting. So today we will try to recreate this same design via Stripo tools. So let's try to do it. I'm going to create new email template, new message in Stripo. I'm going to use empty template because we're going to recreate design from scratch. We're not going to use prepared designs. Also, I would like to pay your attention that there is Valerie in the chat. I see that she already wrote. So the Valerie is a member of our team, and she will be helping us today, will be answering your questions. So if any questions will appear in the process of our today webinar, please let us know. I and Valerie will try to answer them. Okay, so let's continue. So I created empty email template, and to check different preferences, styles, URLs, to take them and use into our email template, I'm going to use developer tools. To get there, I pressed F12 button on a keyboard, and via this selector of elements, I'm going to select one by one different elements to recreate them in Stripo. So as always, we recommend using appearance menu and begin email creation via this preference. So this way you can simplify the process of email creation. If we have some typical elements, for example, here we have probably footer with 12 pixels Helvetica. Here we have also Helvetica, so we can set this font for the whole email. And we can configure our stripes correspondingly. So for the footer, we will set 12 pixels. And we will do it for header this way. What else we can set at the beginning? Here we have different paddings for different structures, so we can't set it for the whole structures because we will have to configure them manually. We have also one or two menu blocks. We also will configure them manually. We have just one button, so we can configure the button in the button section, but since it's just one button and we won't create a few buttons with the same preferences, so if we will set the preferences in the appearance menu, we will be able to create a lot of identical buttons, but we are having just one button, so I'm not going to do it. And let's go to check the first element. The first element, I believe, is just a structure with one text container. So I have to create a header with one text container. We have white background here, so let's set it here. And I'm going to just copy paste the text. So I'm not going to recreate all the links that leads to this exact link to BBC. So we just recreating the design without all the necessary details that you would recreate, of course, if you would create a real newsletter. Okay, so I should correct I should align this text by center. And what else can be done? I should use a black link, black color for the link, and I should check paddings for this structure. So we have to use 10 pixels. Okay, one more interesting element. So as you can see, we have 660 pixels here. So we can increase the total width of our email in the corresponding section of the appearance menu. So let's do it. And let's add paddings for this structure. Okay, we created. Now we have to create one more stripe with also one structure inside this text structure. Sorry, not with one, but with two structures, with two containers inside. image and text container. So let's copy paste the text, and let's try to pull out the image out of the code. So I'm going to just copy paste it. So we can upload images directly to Stripo storage. By default, all images that you will be uploaded into Stripo will be stored within Stripo storage. We also have other options, so you can configure your custom storage in the organization settings of your account, or you can left the link as an external link, and it will lead to the original source. In this case, okay, so let's take a look at the preferences for the background. So probably I have to use this one color. And for the background content, it's a bit darker, I believe. So I can check again if we have another background here, just this one. So, but it looks like it's maybe because we didn't create another one yet. So let's take a look on the next background. What color do we have here? Okay, here has been used just dark black color for the next stripe. And let's check the preferences for this. So we have 10 pixels and 10 pixels for blocks from all sides. So let's copy these preferences. 10 pixels and 10 pixels for the structure. What else? The size of the image is smaller, 107. I'm going to use numeric values, and probably I have to align it to the left. What about the text? We have 28 pixels Helvetica, white color. 28 white, done. And let's try to increase the size for the right container. And now we can align the image to the right, because now we have less distance, lesser distance between these containers. Okay, what else? How we can align the image? We can add a bit more paddings from the top for this image, this way. And we can reduce distance between containers, like this. So the design is based on this template based on background image. So the whole this part is just an email, just a GIF image with a text over it and this button over it. So let's try and find this image. I believe this is the image, and I'm going to just add it as a background to the stripe. Now I have to turn off transparent color, background color for the structure. Please note that not all possible email services support background images. For example, in Outlook, your recipients probably won't see this image. So maybe it's not the best option for all cases to create a design based on background images, and we will discuss it a bit further. Now let's align the image. So I'm going to set center position. What else? We need one more image here. Yes, this one over this background. I'm going to leave just one container and add an image to this container this way. What about size? Sorry. Let's check the size. We have 350 pixels size. And here we have just a text element, I believe. So let's copy paste. I can't copy the text element and align it to the center via the top settings panel. And of course, I have to check preferences of the color preferences for this element and size for the text. We have 35 pixels. We don't have, I believe, such a font within Stripo, but let me show you. So you can always add a custom font to Stripo in the frame of the project menu. So to do it, we have to add a custom font via this button here. Please note that custom fonts can be added only as a link to a CSS file. So you should put here the necessary font and set here font name and font family, and after that the font will be accessible to you within the list of fonts here in the edit mode. So right now I'm going to pick up more or less appropriate font, because we don't have the necessary font. So I don't know, we can try to use Arial, because I see that Arial is has been set here as a fallback font. And let's take a look at our padding. So we have 30 pixels, 20 pixels here within the stripe. So what we can do, we can use paddings for structures, but in this case I think we should use one more stripe with black color, and we will use it to create the necessary margin. So here we will use just a spacer block. We can set, so we can remove all paddings out of structure, and via the dynamic spacer we can set the necessary size, so 20 pixels this way. And I believe we will require the same paddings from the bottom, maybe even more. We will take a look. It's 20 pixels as well. So I'm going to copy this stripe and put it at the bottom and from the top. Now what about, so 30 pixels for the structure, from the top. What about other? So we don't have paddings from the left and from the right. And we have 15 pixels for the structure under the image. Okay, here the Rocket Lab created this padding, this big padding with the image, a transparent image. So we can also try to use this image, or we can also try to use, I think, as more simple way, we can try to use just a spacer block. So I'm going to add it again, and we can stretch it down as long as we want. So how long it should be? 420. Okay, I hope I did it right, and we will check it. Probably we will stretch it up, or let's try to recreate a button and we will see. So now I have to drag and drop button under this block, and let's take a look at the button. So this button contains a text, and the button also contains the image. We have a feature that allows add icon or image to the button, and let's try to use it the same way as we upload other images. We can upload this image to a button. Let's take a look. So we have black color for the text here, and let's take our preferences. So we have 20 pixels font size, and what about size 50/50? So let's try to increase the size of our image, and let's change the text. Which now? Okay, this way. And what else? We have to set bold. We have to remove all border radius because we have square button. And what else? We can remove green border this way, and reduce internal paddings from the top and from the bottom, like this way, and probably we can reduce a bit paddings from the left. So we created similar button, and let's move to another element. So we have to add one more spacer block. I'm going to copy it. And what about size? So we have so it's still a big image with extra paddings. So let's recreate another element, and we will see how big should be padding. I'm going to use the structure because the structure are very similar to our to the one from the bottom, but with another order of items. So we have text from the left and image from the right, and to change the placement, we can create one more container, move an image and remove this container. So now we are having the necessary design, and now we can just copy and paste the text and the image, of course. Okay, this way I'm going to just replace. And what about size 170 pixels? (24 pixels font size for this text and white color. Let's reduce and let's align our image. How we should align it? We should align it to the left, and we have to change also alignment for the text. And what else? We should align it to put the text and image right to the center. So let's try to do it. So via drag and drop, I'm going to just drag it this way, and we put it to the necessary place. What about paddings? We have to reduce the paddings here. What if we will remove this spacer block and just add paddings? So the less elements you have within an email template, the less will be weight of the email template. So if we can reduce one block, one extra structure, and replace it with paddings, sometimes it's a good practice. Okay, let's add a bit more paddings for the structure. I think it's done. And now we have to create, oh, I believe I removed, okay, it's bad, so I'm going to recreate the design again. I just move it, I didn't copy, but just move it, this element to the bottom, so I'm going to recreate it. So we have 28 pixels here, white color, and let's 107. Add a bit paddings from the top. Align the image to the right. And we can increase the distance between containers. Done. Let's continue. I have to recreate the structure from the bottom. So as far as I can see, Valerie successfully answered your questions in the chat. Great, thank you, Valerie. So I have time to continue our email creation. And what we have to do here? So we have, I believe, a couple of stripes. Here, the one with menu, and we can recreate this menu via the menu block or via 7 containers. So let me show you. Let's actually create one more stripe. So we can increase number of our containers up to 7 and put to each of them text block, or we can just use one container with one block, remove the image block and add here the menu block. And to the menu block I'm going to add 7 elements. Of course I have to use white color for all of them. And what about other preferences? So we have 14 pixels Arial. Let's set it here. And home, news, sport, weather. We can just rename them. Sorry, I got a message. From our team. Okay, so let's continue. Home, news, sport, weather. News. Sport, weather. What else? iPlayer, sounds, arts. Okay, it's done. What about padding? So we have 15 pixels for the structure. So let's recreate them. And I think we have to use bold preferences for this text element. And we can move to another one. We have white border. Oh, great. Let's add the border to the stripe. Within each stripe, you can find preferences for a border. And let's create the copy. Here we have, we don't have, I believe, border. We don't have just one menu block. We have 2 blocks with menu and with an image. So I can actually copy this one. And what about our menu? So we have 4 elements here, and we have to remove three elements and rename them. Terms of use, cookies, privacy, unsubscribe. Terms of use. Cookies, privacy, unsubscribe. And unsubscribe. Okay. And what about other preferences? We have also separator here, and we have another font. So we have Helvetica here, and how we can recreate this white separator. So we can use the corresponding option and set white color to it, and to reduce the height, we can use these references. And now to align this element, we can use also the spacer block. As usually, set it as a dynamic and align it as we want. 14 pixels, let's double check, and maybe not bold, and probably here. Yes, probably just normal weight text. Okay, what about size? We have 150 for the image. Ah, sorry, 83. And the image align to the left. And we have to reduce the size of the container from the left, and we have to recreate padding. So we have 5 pixels from the top and from the bottom, and we have a bit more. We have 10 pixels from the left and from the right. 10 pixels for this image element, and this element we actually align in via the spacer block, so we don't need paddings. What about color? It seems like it a bit lighter tone, so we can take a look if we will find the corresponding color here, or we can try to use color picker tool out of the developer tool. So let's find any, so I can find. Okay, I found the color, and via the color picker I can pick up the tone, so it's a bit lighter than the previous. And what about the last element? So it's just a big stripe with white background, so I can use our first stripe and just copy paste. So I believe I actually can copy this the whole this text and add it to our editor. So let's try it this way. Within tag or just this way. I believe the text has more preferences. So what can be done? We can just left it the way as I did, or we can put it within the tag. I think it will be better. And what about paddings for this? So we have 10 pixels for the structure. We have 10 pixels for this block from the top. And I think this is it about this design. So we created approximately the same design via Stripo tools. Let's take a look on mobile version, because it's also very important. And what can be done here? So as you can see, it's not very great. So let's try to edit it. We have a mobile formatting menu for mobile version of our email. So here we can set size for the header, for the footer. So let's say we would like to have 10 pixels for the footer and for the header. Let's take a look. Why our preferences doesn't work? Because I didn't set these stripes as a header and as a footer. So please note that we have 4 options for each stripe. So by default, all stripes will have just content type, and we also have other options, as you can see. So let's take a look. Okay, now we have smaller footer, so let's try a bit reduce the size and double check. Okay, so seems like BBC image is too big, so we can turn off responsive image, and since the image not too big, it won't be stretched by the whole screen. And here we can create, so here is 2 options. So we can align the text and image by center this way, or we can turn off responsiveness for the structure, and we will have the same design for a mobile version as for the desktop one. So it's up to you which one you would like. Also, we can hide this stripe for a mobile, and we will have a bit custom design for our mobile template. What else can be? So since it's just a text for normal text for stripe content, the responsible preferences for this text these ones for the content text, but we can set this text, let's say, as a heading, and for this heading we will have our own preferences. So we can set it bigger. Let's set 20 pixels. So let's take a look. Heading 1, 20 pixels. So let's try to increase like 28. Okay, we increased the size of the text. What else can be done? We have to correct this menu. So as you can see, the menu is too big for the mobile version. So what can be done? We can try to reduce the size preferences for this block this way. Let's take a look. But menu will be too big. So there is another option. We can hide some parts of this block. Let's say we would like our recipients that will look through this email template on their mobiles will able to use all these menus except iPlayer. So we can hide this element for mobile and I don't know, sounds. And let's try to increase the size of our menu so it looks a bit better. We don't have paddings here, and let's try to increase it one more time. It still fit into our mobile screen. It's good. So we also can align this image for mobile version. We can do it right now because it's responsive, but if we will turn off this option, we will be able to highlight it, and also we can do it for this text. So let's take a look. Okay, now it looks better as for me. And I believe we also can hide this stripe. What about this element? Let's take a look. I believe it also will be better to hide one part, or we can create separate design for mobile version and hide it for desktop. And for the mobile, we will have own design. So let's try to hide the first element. Now it looks more centralized and better. Okay, I believe this is it about aligning mobile and desktop version. What else I would like to say about this email template? So, as I said, not all possible email clients support background images. So here is the test. So I tested this email template via our internal feature extra email clients test that allows to check how your email will look like across different email services. So as you can see, in most version of Outlook, your recipients won't see background image. What can be done? So the easiest way is using appearance menu and set a background image here. In this case, via our editor to the code of an email template will be added the email code that support that will help to display background image for Outlooks. But in our case, we can do it because our background image has been added to a stripe. But there is a solution. So there is a service, background theme. So I'm going to add this link to the chat. Please take a look. So this service allows to add here your background image. So for example, we are using this image. And set some preferences here. So for example, we would like to use this image not for the full email body, but as a single table cell. So we have to use this option. We have to set here preferences. And this service will provide us with the code that we can add to Stripo editor. So we can open the code editor and add this code manually to our, in this case, Stripe. So we have opening code here, and we have closing code here. So we have to add the code at the bottom of this element, our Stripe. So I have already done it, and let me show you how it looks like after that. So here are the same Outlook versions, so 2010 for example, and this extra code, backgrounds for different elements, stripes, structures, containers will be visible within Outlook. So please pay attention. If your recipients often use Outlook for inbox, so please use the service and correct your design. So I think this is it about today's webinar. I said everything that I wanted to say. If you have any questions, please let us know, and we will try to answer. Jerome, none of the webinar material names Action Rocket and make it seems like Stripo made the email. So point maybe, but a lot of work went into it from the BBC and Action Rocket. Jay, so as I said previously, yes, this email template has been created via Action Rocket, and I also added a link to the Litmus blog, so I'm going to reattach it here. So this is the blog where we got our information about this email template from. So of course, this email template hasn't been created in Stripo. So it just the email template just has been chosen as one that won in the Litmus award, and we just used it as an example to show how you can create similar design via Stripo tools. So if you take a look at our YouTube channel, you will see, so we run webinars and we recreate different email templates. Basically, we just use email templates that have been created in Stripo. Sometimes we also recreated email templates, not email templates, but footers that have been created by other designers. So we just used them as an example. And we also doing it today. So if you don't have any questions, so I'm going to wait a couple of minutes more, and if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap today's webinar up. So please write to us if you have something to ask. Thank you for the feedback. I see a question, can you send carousel with AMP? Yes, so to create a carousel, you have to just drag and drop this block to your email template, add here some images. So I'm going to use any images out of the internet bank. And to send an email template as a test, you can use this feature and send your email template out of here. Your recipients will see it this way, so they will see this block. Please note that if you will be sending a test from Stripo, you have to add our test email to your Gmail account as an exclude to let AMP elements will be displayed. If you would like to use AMP elements to send them from different email services, please note that not all possible email services support AMP elements. The ones that support market via this icon, AMP support. So please try to use one out of this service for sending. So we have direct export to them. In case if you would like to use other services that support AMP emails, please try to use this option. This option allows to export an email template as an AMP HTML file, open it via any text editor, and copy-paste the code to any email service provider that allows to do it. I hope I answered your question. So since I don't see more questions, thank you very much everyone that visited us today. Thank you for your time. Please let us know if you would like to see some other email templates. I mean, how you can recreate them via our Stripo tools. We will try to show you more examples. I hope today's webinar was useful. Thank you very much again. Have a good day, evening.